gotta say one of the things about Moses.
Man,
go ahead, Coach.
He comes in my office one day and he says, Coach, he says, if you start me, I'll lead the nation in rebounding. I'll lead the nation in rebounding. And, you know, he might have.
Oh, he would have, Coach. You know he would have.
On to the championship game. Got Duke. This is where you wanted to be the whole season. I mean, obviously that's your goal. You thought prior to going in, you told us early in the hour that was something you thought that would happen, that you could get to the championship game, perhaps win it. Again, we're talking about rebounds, pushing it up the floor, and one of the plays that Stacey Augmon was involved in, I thought that was a pretty spectacular play. Comes right here as we start the Duke game, as Larry gets a rebound. This is what I was talking about right here. Rebound to Larry. And watch Stacey. He just gets ahead of everybody.
It's a jailbreak.
Picks up the foul in the and one.
And across the moat.
Across the moat, floating.
What was it about his game? I mean, you know, they called him the plastic man. He's got the wingspan of a 747. He could play defense, but his athletic ability, he would glide. And you must have felt real confident dishing the ball to a guy like that.
You felt confident anytime Stacey or Anderson got the ball on the open floor, they were going to score. And it was unique, too, because they really complemented each other. You know, one being lefty, one being righty. Yeah. The other one having the ability to space it if he gets out in transition for the three. And then Stacey, you know, those long strides, one dribble. If you watch that play, yeah, I think he only took one dribble.
1 or 2 dribbles.
From half court, maybe 2 dribbles to be able to get all the way to the rim. And that's you can't defend that.
Here's another one here.
Look at Greg's footwork.
Yeah, that's unbelievable.
Watch this one here.
His footwork is so good.
And that started with
somebody getting dunked on.
And that started with that started with the pressure defense of Greg on the ball.
Now, Greg and Larry were involved in a play where Bobby Hurley was trying to guard, and it was a 2-man game on the left side. Just watch Greg up top, and now Larry down the low block, and Bobby Hurley gets in between, and not a good spot for him. What's happening here, Coach?
Anthony wants Johnson low. Couldn't do anything.
Yeah, three.
Down to the baseline.
Back out to Barry.
Stacey couldn't guard him either. He couldn't guard 33.
He couldn't guard Barry for nothing.
When do you think this game started getting away from Duke?
You know, in the second half, we had an 18-0 run.
They say when it started.
When it started.
When it threw the ball up.
Duke has a nice program and, you know, solid athletes, but when we came out, you can see the Duke players just looking, and we look back and it's like, these guys are not ready.
Yeah.
And
you know what? He made a great point. That's something we talked about this a lot, and I think Dave made the point earlier. You know, you could look in a guy's eyes and tell if they really want it or not. And we really knew when I made that point about Arizona before when we saw them taking the oxygen. When we saw them and you looked in their eyes, I could tell they just didn't quite believe that they could get it done. And, you know, as an athlete, when you can sense that stuff. Yeah. And you know when a guy don't really want to try. And at that point, that's like you're saying, at the beginning, we sensed it right in the beginning. They just, for whatever reason, it just didn't seem like they felt like they was ready to go that night.
End of the half. Ball's in your hands. Describe this.
I didn't have a lot of time. Handle was a little broke, but the little floater there, that's what we
the
worked
D-Wade right there.
Yeah.
That
was a good momentum
Absolutely,
for us. Because we were up, and again, we played really well. We actually played better than the score in the first half. We didn't have as big a lead. I think we were up 10 at half. And then we came out, or 8 or 10 at half, and then we had that big run to start it. And it's funny going through that run. I didn't realize it was an 18-0 run until it was over.
First time I felt safe is when we were up 26 with about 6 minutes to go. I thought we can't blow this one. I was nervous all the way.
You had to wait till that moment.
I had great respect for Duke. I always have. Duke guys play hard. They're well coached. And they have good athletes. They had some good players on that ball club. It was just a bad game for them. We played extremely well.
The second half, right after a basket, it's early. And Larry, you start connecting from the outside here. What do you remember about what you're seeing here?
Well, that's super easy. Coach Gerg, everybody here went through tons of Gerg outs, like we call them. Now Stacey, now they probably rename them Stacey outs or whatnot, but Coach Gerg used to practice with after games. He had to get his. He had to get his hour, 2 hours of shooting. So it was just, I was really on autopilot at the time.
Yeah, speaking of shooting, again, starting to pull away a little more. I don't know if Anderson, you can shoot inside that arc, right? You didn't know that?
Too close.
That's too close for you. But again, here's another situation where he just ends up wide open. And look at him down the floor here. They just lost you.
How you gonna lose that?
Well, you gotta remember, there's 2 other first-team All-Americans out there. It's kind of hard to focus on it when you got to stop Larry and Stacy. And Anderson, just again, we talked about before, he could run the floor, he could finish at the rim, he could space at the 3. And when you get an open court like that, when you have as many weapons as we had, that's going to be tough to stop.
29 points, leading scorer in the game. Was there some point where you just said, hey, I'm on top of the world here, get me the ball?
No, because we had Larry and Stace. I was the 3rd or 4th option, so really Greg was the point guard, and he knew who to get the ball to at the right time. So that helped us out tremendously. What
made Anderson extra tough was you couldn't throw the ball over his head. He'd outrun the ball. Oh. If there was a long pass over his head, he would outrun the ball. I've never seen anybody do that. He would outrun it and go dunk it.
Well, running the floor again, Stacey Ogwin makes the steal.
Jailbreak.
And Anderson, you finish that up.
Jailbreak.
That might have been the only time you've ever shot inside the three-point line, right?
Oh, he had a few dunks now. That is true about him.
Listen, Leighton one time.
I tell you what, that is true. I couldn't throw the ball far enough that he couldn't get it. I remember early in the season this year, I used to take the ball sometimes and roll it down the court. He would just run and pick it up in stride and go in and dunk it, man.
We get down to the end here, and Coach, you're probably feeling pretty safe at this point because you're up by 26 or better. There's still 5 minutes to go, and you've got the national championship wrapped up. Let's take you back to that moment here and the play that set it up. And Moses, let's watch your reaction.
The way they're playing half court.
Great fans in Las Vegas, we should point out. You can hear the noise in the background. They have a lot of them in McNichols here tonight as Sianovich hits the 3.
Stacey Sianovich hits it. Whoa. And there's still 5 minutes to go.
I want to say one thing about it was still 5 minutes to go in this game, and we had guys that can come off the bench and still really, really play hard like we was down by 15 or 20 points.
Just being around these guys was a highlight for me because I've never been around such an unselfish group of guys who work so hard. And every day in practice they would come to work.
This night belongs to Las Vegas.
You end up winning that game by 30. I mean, the numbers put up in that. I mean, no one's won a game by that much ever before or since. You set a scoring record in the tournament. Obviously, the argument's always going to be out there. Who was the best starting 5 in college basketball? Who was the best team ever in college basketball? And there's no doubt that the 1990 Round Rebels are going to be in that argument. But if we can, just a line from each of you, what you got out of that. We'll start with you, Moses. What did you get out of that season? Obviously, going crazy on the bench. You're ready to celebrate a national title, and it really sunk in at that point, didn't it?
Yes, pretty much. I know it's going to be a everlasting experience, that I've been through in my life, coming from where I came from, out of Brooklyn, and experiencing something like this in my life. I mean, it was